Number 7 on the Derby points list is Maximum Security, trained by Jason Service, a perfect 4 for 4 lifetime. He debuted for a $16,000 maiden claiming tag, goes out, wins by nearly 10. They wheel him back in an allowance race. He wins by 6. They do it again. He wins by a million. The question was, well, there were a few. Would he be able to handle 2 turns? How would he actually handle real company? But based on figures leading into the Florida Derby, he made all the sense in the world because he had run a 102 Beyer speed figure in his most recent run. So he figured to at least be there from a numbers standpoint. But usually you talk about it from a handicapping standpoint. Sometimes those numbers can look good against inferior company. How do they translate when you face better horses? Well, I still think the jury's out on this horse simply because the Florida Derby, we're going to take a look at it right now. Look at these fractions, 24.42, 48.98, 12.9 for the 3/4 mark, 112 and 4, and he's out there just cruising on the front end. He's being chased by a 70-1 maiden in this race in Bodie Express. I think he's a nice little horse, but when the pace is as slow as it is, and a horse like Maximum Security, who clearly has ability, is able to get out there and just walk the dog on the front end, Luis Saez sets him down. It's all over. Now it's just a matter of how far is he going to win by. He goes and gets it done. Visually, again, very impressive, but he's supposed to be able to finish this way when he goes as slow as he does through those earlier portions in the run, especially at a track like Gulfstream Park. Now, you can look at it, though, and say there are some other things that you want to look at with this horse and say he's got a lot going for him. He won one of the final big prep races, which I've said time and time again, since this point system has been implemented, if you have not won one of those final prep races, you really have not truly had a chance to win the Kentucky Derby, because all of the Derby winners since the point system has been implemented have come from one of the winners of those final preps across the country. So he checks that box. He has won on the lead. He has also won from just off of the lead. You see this race right here, where at one point early on, he was 3.5 lengths off of it. He quickly moved up and took over, but the point is, he can sit off of a horse and still be effective. He's won at 1.125 miles. That's very important. I've talked about how finishing that final 1/8 in those 1.125 mile final prep races usually can give you an inkling about will they be able to do that going longer, and you like to see it be somewhere in that sub 26 second range. Well, if we go into formulator and we look at the incrementals, he finished in 12:52. Again, with an advantageous pace situation. He's supposed to be able to scoot home the way that he did, but point is, he checks that box as well. He's probably also going to be overlooked, maybe not overlooked, but not given as much credit, because whether it was debuting for the $16,000 tag, whether it's the idea of Jason Service at this level on this stage, not saying that Jason Service can't train horses to win the bigger races, but there's still a difference between the Kentucky Derby and some of these other ones. I've talked about it with other people in the past. You know, you get somebody like Aidan O'Brien who goes, the Derby was just a different animal. We weren't used to the way that they were going to go out there and throw it down, and it was just kind of like a rough and tumble sort of thing, horses bouncing off of each other. It still takes some time to learn how to get this sort of thing done. And I recognize that there are other trainers that have won, you know, with one Derby entrant or two or something like that. But the guys like Pletcher, the guys like Baffert, there's a reason they know how to get these horses ready to go for a race like this. I'm not suggesting Jason Service can't, but he hasn't had a ton of Kentucky Derby starters. So that's something that you need to factor in. So you're probably going to get a better price than you necessarily should on a horse like this. Another thing that's a feather in this horse's cap is this piece right here. He is 1 for 1 on a wet track, and he's 3 for 3 on a fast main track. So basically, whatever Mother Nature throws at this group, these connections with this horse, not going to be an issue. You have Luis Saez listed. Great rider. We know what Luis Saez is capable of. From a pedigree standpoint, New Year's Day, look, who knows? Again, he only raced, twice, I believe. He won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile way back when for Baffert. But you look at the bottom, the Dam is a sibling to Flat Out, who won the Jockey Club Gold Cup a couple times. He won a number of big races, so distance doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue. Maximum Security is one of those horses, and I get he's polarizing for a number of reasons. I'll let you be the ones to go speak amongst yourselves. He's polarizing in a race like this. Is he incapable of winning the Kentucky Derby? Absolutely not. Based on the figures, based on the running style, and the track record that Gulfstream Park has had with a race like the Derby, there's a lot to point to a horse like Maximum Security and say, you know what? You might get 10, 12, 15 to 1 on this horse. And really, what's he done wrong? He's a perfect 4 for 4. He goes out for plenty capable connections. He is fast. He's versatile. Distance doesn't look like it's going to be a problem. Again, polarizing, but certainly not out of the question. Maximum Security could very easily win a race like the Kentucky Derby. We'll find out how things shake down here in just a few days.